What if I told you that thinking about death could actually help you live your most fulfilling life possible? Well, it can. It might sound counterintuitive, but this Stoic practice will change your life. The practice is called Memento Mori, which translates to remember you are mortal. And today we're going to explore how this practice can help you live the most inspiring life possible, explore why there are no sunk costs, and we're going to explain how death is what gives life its meaning. Before we dive in, if you haven't yet, please give this channel a like, subscribe, turn on the notifications. This is a place to provide young people with the tools, knowledge, and wisdom they need to understand their minds and take control of their lives, to help free them from anxiety, depression, and burnout, and to go off and live an inspiring and fulfilling life. Every bit of support fuels this mission. Cool, so let's dive in. To better understand Memento Mori, we're actually going to start with a concept which I'm almost certain you're familiar with. It's called Parkinson's Law. You know how when you've got all day to do a task, somehow this thing that should have taken 2 hours expands to take up the full day? And yet on the flip side, when you've only got 1 hour to get this done, somehow you move heaven and earth and you get that 2 hour task done by being the most efficient person possible, and you get it done in that 1 hour. This is Parkinson's Law in action. It states that a task will expand to fill the time allotted to it. I'm sure you've been at school or uni and you've had weeks to complete an assignment, but you just kept pushing it off until the last minute and then you scrambled to get it done right before the deadline. Well, what would have happened if there was no deadline? Not only would you probably never have finished the assignment, you probably wouldn't have even started it. Let's apply this to your life. If you're not constantly reminding yourself that your life has a finish point, that it has a deadline, then you have no sense of urgency to take action. Instead, you sit in your circumstances complaining or talking about your goals for 20 years without making any changes, without doing anything different. One of the powers of Memento Mori is that it reminds you that there is a deadline and it pushes you to take action. Now, depending on how much you want to do and build with your life, Memento Mori holds you accountable to showing up every single day. It stops you from being a passenger in your own life and forces you to take control, to take action, and to make things happen. Now, I'm sure some of you might be feeling some thoughts like, I wish I'd learned this earlier, or why did I waste so much time? These thoughts are unhelpful. They are nothing more than the sunk cost fallacy just showing up and rearing its ugly head. Everything is perfect, divine, and right on time. There are no such thing as sunk costs. But if these thoughts are hitting you now, then I suggest you listen to them and take action soon, rather than ignoring them and letting life throw you a curveball with some sort of disease or crisis to try and force your hand. Countless times, people have received medical diagnoses and life sentences only to miraculously recover and say that was the best thing that ever happened to them because it reminded them to live, it reminded them to take action and to do what they want with their life. Confucius said it best. He said that every man has 2 lives and the second begins the moment he realizes he only has 1. If you don't take ownership for your life, then you're taking a gamble and rolling the dice, hoping the universe doesn't decide she has to step in and throw a massive curveball and a wake-up call into your life. Better to be self-governed than wait for the universe to govern you instead. Back to what I mentioned a minute ago. There are no such thing as sunk costs. A sunk cost assumes that you are out of fair exchange with the universe. That because you spent 2, 3, 4, 5 years or 10 years in a certain job, you have to spend the next 20 years in that career, in that job, even if you're miserable and hate it. That's crazy. And it stems from this lack of understanding that you are mortal. A practitioner of Memento Mori would realize that life's too short to keep doing something that they don't enjoy for another minute, let alone another 2 decades. They would instead go in and balance their mental ledger. They would find out how that 3, 4, 5, 10 years that they had already spent benefited them, served them, what they gained from it, the opportunities, everything they learned, all the things it allowed them to do. They will recognize how that thing was on the way, not in the way. Once they then see those years as time well spent and how it was preparing them to take the next step, then those 10 years are no longer baggage. It's fuel. They see that it was on the way. It helped them. It's no longer holding them down and trapping them in this thing that they don't want to be doing. It's instead the thing that helps push them to take their next step. The sunk cost fallacy weighs you down and keeps you trapped. But balancing your mental ledger empowers you. It shows you that you are equipped and ready for the next step, and it pushes you in the right direction. For more help on balancing your mental ledger, I highly recommend checking out my video on amor fati, another Stoic practice. I'll leave a link for that one in the description below. Here's something that might surprise you. Remembering that you are mortal helps you keep your ego in check and to become a much more balanced and objective person. When you don't desensitize your mind to death with the practice of Memento Mori, you're allowing your ego to run rampant with black and white thinking, with being polarized, with arguing with people, with refusing to admit when it's wrong. Now you might be asking, why does the ego do this? It's because as far as the ego is concerned, to be wrong, to have an opinion challenged, is to die. And if you think that dying is a bad thing, then of course the ego is going to think a miniature ego death is also a terrible thing and something to be avoided. So it won't let itself be wrong or suffer the death of an idea or an opinion. This mentality will hold you back in so many ways. It's fine to be strongly opinionated, but only so long as you're willing to evolve and update your opinions when new evidence come to light. For me personally, I loosely hold strong opinions. I love being challenged. I love being proven wrong because it's a chance for me to increase my wisdom. It's a chance for me to take an opinion that I thought was good and to update it and to make it even better. That's not a bad thing. That's a win for me. But if I'm ego driven and think that to be wrong is to die, I miss out on that opportunity. I miss out on the chance to learn. And so I go through life holding on to old, outdated beliefs purely because I'm too scared to be proven wrong. One of the biggest problems from not thinking about death is it keeps you stuck in unfavorable situations for way longer than necessary. Remembering you will die is your reminder to live. It's your kick in the ass to take action. It's your reminder that life is too short to stay in unfavorable situations. It's the reminder to take action and to make the change that you want to bring about. Ultimately, it's a reminder to captain your own ship, to be the commander of your own life instead of letting others direct it for you. If something isn't a hell yes, then it's a no. If you're unhappy and don't make a change, then you're not going to get yourself out of that unhappy situation. Things are just going to keep getting worse and worse and worse. Being 3 years into a degree, a job, a relationship, or whatever does not mean you have to stay in it if it's not filling your cup. Now, this is not me telling you to go throw out the bath with the baby. Don't get rid of everything in your life right now with no plan and just like, memento mori. No, you're going to set yourself up for failure there. But if things aren't lighting you up, if you're not living the life you want to live, maybe it's time to start figuring out how you want your life to look and start figuring out the action steps that will take you there. Memento Mori isn't about being morbid. It's about using the reality of death as fuel to live a more fulfilling and purposeful life. If this hit home for you and you're ready to keep leveling up and live a more purpose-driven life, then make sure you're subscribed to this channel. Drop a comment below, let me know how Memento Mori resonates with you. And most importantly, remember, life is short. Don't wake for a wake-up call, write your own script.